Mike, on tape, what did you see defensive line-wise? You know, you finally got some quarterback pressure going there, a couple sacks. What was working for you on Saturday?
We played much better from a technique standpoint. I thought our game plan was awesome on the defensive side of the ball. I thought our offensive game plan was not very good at all, and special teams wasn't very good. But the game plan was good, and we were fundamentally sound. We were better gap control. We missed 3 or 4 tackles in the first half, 3 of them in the first quarter. From that point on, we tackled better and just played kind of good football. I mean, I know that sounds simple, but we just played good football, and we had better results.
You said you didn't like the offensive game plan or the special team. Did you know that going in, or is that something you learned as the game went?
No. I mean, obviously we'd have changed it if we knew that. I don't think you weren't here. I don't think. But after the game, I had mentioned that they got us. They got us on defense again. I hate it, but our defensive game plan was excellent, and we played good football. Our offensive game plan wasn't very good, and we didn't have a lot of options. And they were actually better on defense than even I thought they were, and we didn't have a good game plan. And that happens sometimes. I've been a coordinator. I've put game plans together, and they didn't work. And that's a bad combination. And then special teams, we didn't do a good job. I say we. I'm involved with punt. We didn't do a good job. Got a punt blocked. It's bad coaching.
I know the run game is every week. It's a central focus. You started running the ball pretty well again in the first quarter. What happens? There are adjustments, or how does it go away after the first couple of series? Because Richardson was toting it pretty good early.
Yeah, so part of it was some of the things we tried to do that we all were in agreement prior to that would work, or we would not have come up with that game plan. We started to run the ball decent, but as the game went on, we weren't very effective on first down, and then throughout that next 2 quarters, we ended up in a lot of 3rd and longs, and then they felt that. As a play caller on defense, they started to make some adjustments. They very seldom played a 3 technique in their 3 down front, and they did in this game. And so they made a couple adjustments based on our style of running attack as the first quarter went on, and they made some adjustments. And the one thing that we don't have a lot of flexibility with right now is adjustments in our concepts based on the inexperience at the position of guys that we have where they're playing. So they made some adjustments, which we can make other adjustments, and we know how to fix things, but sometimes we have limitations based on where we're at right now. That's what happened.
Is some of that, Dom has started off really great the last 2 games in the first quarter and hasn't been used much. I mean, some of that Kansas was the score, probably dictated that, but he hasn't played much the second half. Is Dom, do you want to get him more involved, I guess, is what I'm asking?
He's a little beat up.
Mm-hmm. So,
with all of this,
Yes, to answer your question.
with all of this, having seen some positive stuff early in games and then see it fade, where does that leave you right now in terms of how you feel about the run game? Are you more encouraged that you are getting some progress, or more discouraged that you're not being able to continue?
I mean, I feel the same way I have the last 6 weeks I've been in here talking to you. So I'm trying to make this as clear as possible. We can't remake who we are in 2 days, or I don't feel comfortable doing that. Some people may change in concepts and all that. I don't think that's a good pattern. So we continue to work the things that we feel like we're good at. I will say this, and I said this after the game, and I'm going to say it again, that's a good team on defense we played. They know what they're doing. They're experienced in very key positions. 9 is a good player. 3 is a better player than what people think. Their coach knows what he's doing. And they have a veteran group of guys that were a lot like we were last year, and you can kind of adjust, and they know what they're doing. Through the first quarter, we actually blocked and ran the ball better. You just didn't notice it.
Like you told us about 10 years ago, probably, that when you get into a game and the game plan's not working, it's too late to it. You can't do much about it. Is that still the same, largely?
Yeah, so we had flexibility in the fourth quarter with Spencer because we could just get rid of everything we had and went back to what we've done the last 3 years and just start pulling out plays. He's experienced enough that he can run them, and we just call him and he knows what to do. If we there's been times, years back, you guys have covered us, and we had younger quarterbacks, and comment you're making is based on times I've said that, maybe it's Spencer's second year, or maybe it's Mason's second year. And I said, there's not a lot of options right now because we're kind of stuck. And, but with Spencer, we're fortunate that we can say, okay, let's just forget this. Let's call these plays because we know he knows them, and we can function. We did it. I don't know. When the year Dana was here, we played up at Kansas State, and we were pretty good, and they were average. And in the first half, like we had 3 points, and they had like 14. We went in at halftime, and our game plan wasn't any good, and Kansas State schemed us, and Dana was just throwing everything, his hair and whatever he could throw, but because we didn't have an answer to fix it. Now we came back out and made some plays. I think we won like 24-17 or something. It was an ugly game. We won, but sometimes you don't have enough flexibility, and that's the scary part of where you can be on game day if the game plan you have didn't work very good.
And like you mentioned, Spencer, he's going into his fourth Bedlam, third start.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously played Bedlam as an inexperienced and a more experienced quarterback. How does Bedlam and the experience change for a quarterback as you get that experience?
I don't think Spencer cares. He cares about every game the same. I don't think any game makes any difference to him. And honestly, I don't know if it does to any young people anymore. There's so much. Society today is so different. Like our players, as well as everybody else's players in college football, they communicate through social media. I don't know what it's Instagram and what are the 2 or 3 ways they communicate. Like they'll talk to players on the team before we go play them on Saturday. I mean, we go play whoever we played in the bowl at, Notre Dame. They may be talking to those guys for 3 weeks on Instagram and whatever, and go play them, hey, how you doing, whatever. We never talked to anybody. We didn't like the other team. We didn't want to talk to them. When I was at Middle City, I didn't talk to people from Del City. We tried to take their girls. We didn't want to talk to them. I mean, when I was at Middle City, we didn't talk to Norman. We didn't talk to Putnam City. It's not that way now. These guys are buddies, and it trickles down from the NFL. The NFL, go to an NFL game in hour before, and when the players all come out, it's a love fest. There's nobody that's the steel curtain versus the Cowboys, and it's just not that way anymore. I'm just being honest with you.
So the animosity part of the rivalries is kind of gone within the team?
I think it's the fans. I think, I'm not on it. You guys are. I think it's probably big in social media, probably big at the workplace. Down in Oklahoma City, people come to and they talk trash all week. But I just think the players live in a different world. They're gonna practice hard. They want to compete. They want to win. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't know that there's the bitter rivalry anymore with young people.
You have games, though, that are maybe a little more, you want to beat the team on the other side of the state, whether they talk or not.
Yeah, sure.
I assume.
Well, I do.
Yeah, I assume there's some heightened
It makes
pressure.
it easier during the year. Puts people in a good mood that wear orange.
Does that trickle down to the players and maybe put a little more pressure on guys? And does that experience then help a guy like Spencer, you think?
I think there's more pressure on young people in society today than ever, just based on the overall critical side of social media. I think that's very unjust, but I think it's a real life situation where they have more pressure now than ever. That's why we have all the mental health issues across the country. Particularly, you're seeing more with athletes and movie stars and people like that. But whether it affects what goes on Saturday at 6:30, I don't know if that plays a big as role anymore as it used to, based on all the different things that are going on.
How'd you feel about your first Bedlam then, Mike? Was it wanted to
My
beat the
first
hell- yeah,
Bedlam?
wanted to beat the hell out of him? Were you too nervous? To get that emotion, or what was going through your head?
86.
That's when you put Boz on your shoes.
Oh, that's right. I was a little scared of Boz. Boz scared me a little bit. I knew pregame. Boz was on a different type of artificial nutrition than I was. Period. I saw Boz when I visited OU it would have been January of '86. And when they took me out to whatever nightclub or wherever we went, and he was there, and it was cold because right back in January, years ago, January is a cold month here in Oklahoma. And I probably had on, whatever sweater and coat I could have. And I remember being in that facility or that party or whatever, and he had a tank top on. And so, obviously that's a big dude. So I was a little concerned about it when I played him based on the artificial nutrition that he had going on that I didn't have. But once the game started, it didn't make a difference to me. I mean, if we're going to have a fight, we're going to have a fight. It is what it is.
You brought up visiting Norman, something I was going to ask you about this morning. You ever think what your life would have turned out had you gone to OU? Because you were committed to them once upon a time, were you not?
I was committed there, yes. I'd probably be the head coach at OU. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, that's probably what would have happened. But I'm in a great shape here. I don't have to listen to all that down there.
But you recognize, in fact, true or false, you recognize the fit was better here in terms of what you offered as a quarterback. Is
Yes.
that what won out?
Wasn't a real smart guy, but they just won a national championship with the best, obviously, well, I shouldn't say the best, one of the best option quarterbacks to ever play college football, and he was a true freshman. And he was getting all kinds of fur coats and cars and stuff, so I didn't see where I fit in on that gig.
Don't you think you'd been a
He was
hell
on
of
the
a
NIL plan.
Don't you think you'd been a hell of a safety?
No. No. Tackling was not my deal. Have you not heard my safety story? Surely you've heard it. So I was a sophomore playing for Coach Evans at Midwest City, and Donnie Johnson was our senior quarterback. So they wanted me to be on varsity, so they let me play wideout just to get some varsity time. And then they banned me as a backup safety. We scrimmaged at Jinx prior to the start of the season, and I think Reggie Barnes, was that his name? The running back at Jinx? 85, 84. They had somebody. Anyway, he was a really good player, and I was playing free safety. We were scrimmaging Jinx. And now I'm a $147 at the most, and I come up to Phil, and whoever that running back was, he played pro. I mean, he played college ball. He came running right at me, and he was about 200 pounds, and so I kind of fell to my knees like this, and I looked like Kendall Daniels did out there on that first one, and he ran for a touchdown. And Dennis Huggins, who was our defensive coordinator, who was old school, hard nosed, tough. Honestly, kind of a Bobby Proctor guy from back in the day. And he said, "You're out. That's it." That's the last play I ever got at safety.
Mike, does this OU team feel a lot different from the ones that you've scouted in the past? Or?
You know what? I just watched the first half of one game. I've been doing other stuff, and normally I've watched several games by now, and I have not watched. I'm through one half of the first game, and I haven't got there. I apologize. I just had other stuff going on.
I guess from the casual watching, and I don't know if you've gotten to catch them if they play different time slots or anything, but have you gotten to see much of their just throughout the season?
I've not seen one game. Have not seen one game. We've had the 2:30 games, and so we're doing all of our stuff in the mornings, and by the time I get home in the evening, now maybe I did see him play a little bit of somebody in the evening. I can't remember who it was. I didn't watch very much. Maybe Kansas State. They played a night game? Yeah, I saw a little bit of it. Yeah, I saw a little bit of that one, but not a whole lot. I don't know why I didn't watch more of it.
What's your familiarity with Brent Venables?
Well, him being here, I mean, he was here for a long time, and then obviously he's a Kansas State guy. So I bumped into him, seen him around quite a bit. Never really had much communication with him until meetings out this summer in Arizona.
You talked after the game about Jabbar Muhammad and how he benefited from just being at corner. Just in general, what does he do well that stands out to you guys?
He's a good football player. I gave him a hard time last night because the first play of the game, he could have intercepted that and walked in the end zone. And I think it kind of surprised him, and he kind of just knocked it down. Then he makes a really, really good play on a curl route where he's covering a guy man and reaches over and intercepts it. Much more difficult. And I said, you could have had a house call. And but anyway, made a good play on that. He loves to play football. He's competitive, and he has a high intelligence level when it comes to things moving fast. He sees things differently, and tough guy, and likes to compete.
Mike, you midway through the fourth quarter the other day, that guy gets deep. Noel for them, I think it's number 13, gets wide open, drops that deep ball. Same thing happened to Iowa State at Texas. Hutchinson dropped the deep ball in the last 2 minutes. Matt Campbell's sitting there at 4-6, disappointing year. Those two guys catch those balls, they may win those games. They're 6-4, everybody's thrilled. Is that just sort of the nature of playing this game and coaching this game? Is the difference between winning and losing is just two good players dropping a ball? It's
slim now. There's a really small gray area with winning and losing, particularly this year in our league more than ever, as we all know. And it's hard those things are hard. Well, I can't speak for him. I'll speak for me. Those things are hard to swallow. I've been in that situation some. I've been in it as a player, and I've seen it happen. I'll give you an example. When we played OU, they had Kyler Murray and went for 2 points. And, he was open, and the ball's kind of right here. He could have caught it, but whatever, could have been a little better throw, or we might have beat them there. Sometimes you drive home in the bus and you're thinking, why does that happen? I don't know. But what you said is right. He could very well his record be flipped based on what happens. Very fine line.
You guys played pretty good defense all day Saturday.
Sure.
Was that just foul up there on that one?
I just, like I said earlier, I thought our defensive plan was really good and our players played good football. They just, for the most part, played good football. The last few weeks, defensively, we haven't played that good of football. We got out of our gaps. Our technique wasn't good. Didn't defend like we should have. Missed tackles. Just didn't play real good football. Played pretty good football against them.
Now, I know you don't love talking about players' availability for next week's game, but after last week, Spencer told us on play. Is that his decision to make?
Well, one, I didn't know he said that, but that's awesome that he's make that decision. Obviously, he feels better. What are you basing on? I'm not understanding the question you're asking me.
Spencer told us after the game with the most conviction a guy can give, I'm starting next week against OU. I'm wondering, is that his decision to make, or are you still, is that like the kids saying, hey, we're going to eat ice cream for dinner every week this week?
I hope that that's his decision and that's the way he feels. We're going to have to treat him the same way we've treated him the last 5 weeks. But that's good news, though, if he feels like that, because it'd be good to get him in there and let him play. But yes, he's the one making the decisions on whether he's playing or not.
What's your assessment of Gunner a couple of days later, Mike? How did he handle Saturday, you think?
Oh, Gunner's fine. It's just like what I told you. Gunner made some plays. There's a couple times he could have progressed a little bit further in his reads. We got to call it like it is. We had pressure on him in the first quarter. I've been there. When you're young and there's pressure on you, at times your reads go faster. You don't see things like you should have. And then the last play, panicked. It's 3rd and 18, tried to make a play. And whether it's him or any other young quarterback, you can't do that at this level. It's okay to throw the ball away and punt. You can't pull plays like that off at this level like you did in high school. Those are learning curves. But all these guys want to do really well, and sometimes when you do just okay and not really well, you got to put your big boy pants on and suck it up and go out and fight and do better next time.
Mike, you had 3 different quarterbacks start the past 3 weeks. I know that's not an ideal situation for you, but is there any silver lining to having those kids get that experience?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're obviously a different team when he plays, but we have young quarterbacks that need experience. And there are some guys that step in when they're really young that can play better than what they should based on their experience. Two things contribute to that. One, those guys may potentially be an early round NFL draft pick, or they're playing on a team where they have really good players around them and they can survive and function with a lack of knowledge because of the people that are out there with them. You're way too young, but there's probably 3 or 4 people in here that know. When I played as a true freshman, I had a good offensive line. I had Thurman Thomas, Barry Sanders, Garrett Limbrick, Curtis Mayfield, and Hartley Dykeson playing with me. So I could manage and function because I was just a guy, but I had really good players around me, and I could function. And so these young quarterbacks are getting really good experience playing. Rangel got to play on the road, and got to play with a minimal attack on the perimeter. And, we're working through some issues up front, health-wise. And Gunner got to play in a live situation with some of the same issues, but against a very, very, very good defense. And so those are great learning experiences for young guys. And the silver lining, as you mentioned, is at some point they're going to be playing some. And we don't know. Maybe it's in the fourth quarter this week. Maybe it's in the second quarter against West Virginia. We don't know, but at least they've been out there.
Mike, you haven't had a bunch of punts blocked over the last 10 or 12 years. Tom got one block before he gets hurt, and then you get one block this last week. You had talked last week about special teams. Lots of times it's your defensive guys that are on those units. But is the injuries impacted that? Is that what's going on with the punt block situation?
Two things. The plan we had for that particular side of a part of the game was not good, and I'm involved in it, so I'm putting it's bad football on my fault. The punt block was me, bad football. But we've had a little bit of musical chairs up front from where we started the first 4 games of the year based on that. But that's not an excuse from what happened. That's just bad football on my part. That's bad coaching. And those things keep me up at night. And y'all know me. You can kick my butt. You beat me, I'm okay. I'll fight you again tomorrow. But when we coach bad, I don't like that. So the punt block was poor coaching on my part. And the guys that helped me in that unit, there's 3 or 4 coaches that helped me. They should have told me that's poor coaching. We should have fixed it. But the players didn't fail on the punt block. The scheme failed.
Offensively, you were 1 for 14 on third downs, faced a lot of third and longs. Does that go back to the run game, maybe?
100%, and that's what I said earlier. We put ourselves in third, and we pretty much stayed in third and 8 to 12. And there's not very many teams in the country that can be successful in that, particularly us right now. And so we've got to do the best we can. Nobody plans on it, but when you get in that situation, it allows a good defense to pin their ears back and become one-dimensional pass rushers. So now you have better athletes against not as good athletes, and they know what we're doing, and it makes it a really ugly situation. And that's what transpired. We've got to stay out of that. We need to live in third and short to third and 5, where we have some sort of balance in our attack.
On some of those third and shorts, you have like a jumbo package almost on your center with 2 running backs.
Well, we ran one of them Saturday. That sucker didn't look very good. We were trying to get 1 yard, and we ended up with -4.
Do you think you've shown it maybe too much in the past in other games?
We have different plays out of it. The concept there, the schemes that I mentioned on punt was not the problem. The problem there was the execution.
When I saw the kick time Saturday night, 6:30 on ABC, I was like, whoa, that kind of surprised me because Oklahoma's having their season and you guys are still in contention, but kind of on the outside of the contention for a championship game. How do you explain that? Were you surprised when you saw it was a nationally televised game on? And is ABC betting on the quality of this series?
I think they're all trying to make fine ball look stupid. When he said nobody cares about Bedlam, when he didn't do his homework, that had way more viewers last year than any of those games over there. I'm good with it, but it is what it is. I might as well call it like it is. You know me, I don't pay attention to it, and we're gonna work our schedule based on what it is. Means we get down and we gotta find something to do during the day for 4 hours at the hotel. Get to watch a little bit of football.
That kind of answered my question a little bit there, but I mean, do you sense the players getting maybe a little bit more antsy when you're waiting all day for?
It's hard. Now this is a little different because it's not just kind of right down the road, but so Big 12 requires you to be on location the night before the game. So it's not like you can drive down. There's nothing like the old high school, right? You get on the yellow dog, put your pants on, your shoes, your cleats. You drive, you got your undershirt, you get off the bus, you're carrying your pads, you put it on, you go warm up. 30 minutes later, we're kicking it off. I mean, that's really the way it should be. But we don't have that luxury. So you get there, get up, let them sleep in a little bit, eat some food, do walkthroughs, kind of kill some time, let them go back 2 or 3, well, no more than that, probably 3.5 hours at the room, then bring them back down for pregame, do some more meetings, and then go. So you really have to kill about 4 hours during the day.
So you're saying if you really wanted to stay here and drive down for the game, the Big 12 won't let you have to be in Norman
That's
the
what
night
I was.
before?
That's what I was told. Clintworth probably knows that, but I think you have to be on location before the night before a game. I think that you don't, or you don't know. Yeah, I think one time we asked that. I think it was because of COVID, maybe. But either way, I'm not for sure. I think you have to be on location because it'd be a bad deal if you had a game the next day and you didn't show. I mean, you didn't get there for some reason or whatever.
There was an ice storm here one time that I think the visiting team had a hard time.
Yeah, so I think you're supposed to be on location the night before. I think either that or that's what somebody told me. So.
You're gonna miss coaching against Cale this week.
What about
Miss
it?
coaching against Cale.
We don't. I've said this before. In those games, I always forget. I don't ever look at the other sideline much unless I have a reason to, based on something I think could be advantageous for us. If there's a certain poker body language that coaches give based on certain play calls and stuff. Other than that, I never look over there. So I don't really actually remember until the game's over. And I forget because I go to the center to shake the head coach's hand, and then he'll come up and grab me. And a lot of times I have forgotten that. So that really is not as big an issue. Makes it a little bit easier on the family, that's for sure.
I hear that you've been a real supportive big brother to him the last several weeks. What have you done to sort of help him through?
Oh, I think anybody that goes through what would be somewhat traumatic would be a bad word for it because that's not a traumatic. There's a lot of things in life a lot worse than that, but just a tough situation is to say, hey, I'm here, you want to talk, whatever. But what he did is, in my opinion, was very smart, which he never stopped the everyday flow of his life. He does what he does every day. And he's somewhat partnered up with Coach Switzer, and they work together now on certain things, which everything that Switzer's ever touched just turned into gold. So it's a good guy to partner up with. And arguably, you have 2 Oklahoma OU guys that could be the most well-known, prominent figures long-term in that program with Coach Switzer and Cale. I think Cale's been there. He's been there more than anybody else, right? Games-wise, I think more than Switzer. So those 2 working together are having a blast. They called the other day and they had me on speakerphone. They're driving in the car going over to, Switzer and Cale, they're going over to talk to some guys and drink beer and have a good time. And where are you going to practice? You're going to practice. We're going to drink beer and talk to guys about football. He's honestly doing really well, and I'm happy for him. But that's my role, right? Is to try to help him out. So, I did the best I could.
Over the years, I've kind of noticed that meeting with you and Cale afterwards, and it's constant. It's not like when they've lost, Cale stomped off and gone to their dressing room. In fact, I almost think he's made more of a point of coming over to you after they lose.
Cale's very emotional. Cale is a very huge heart, very emotional person who cares about. Cale loves people. He likes everybody, and he pours himself out to people. I'm not that way. I have very few friends. I'm not a outgoing people person. I would rather be somewhere by myself watching something or doing something to occupy my time, not with lots of people. We're complete opposites in that area. Everybody likes Cale because Cale's a very outgoing, giving, genuine person who cares about people, so they like him. And so when the games are over, whether he wins or I win, he's more concerned about me than he is himself. So that's why he tracks me down to say, hey, good game, you did good, or I'm happy for you, love you, whatever. See you at Thanksgiving, whatever. I mean, that's his approach. Now, I care for him as much as he cares for me, but I'm not that way. I just don't, I'm not put together that way.
Another great memory that I personally have of the two of you was when you had left Midwest City. You were here, I think, playing, and Cale was the quarterback at Midwest City. And when you could get to a game, you'd be down there with Ron Smith and Cale, drawing things up in the dirt.
Trying to win.
Yeah.
Trying to win, yeah.
Trying to help him.
Yeah, different deal though. I'm in a different element. I'm in a football element where things that I like to do and all that. Those things drive me. The things that drive Cale socially don't drive me. So it's two different people. But
Did you enjoy watching him play?
sure, yeah. I love that. Yeah.
Anything else from Coach? What happened at Virginia last night and then kind of this morning, does that scare you at all as a football
Everything
player?
scares me. I don't know enough about it. I was just told, some of the circumstances. It's just awful. I don't even know what you say anymore I have sons in college, and somebody gets a call, and all of a sudden your son's gone. I mean, forget football. I mean, just terrible. I don't know. Those things, I'm not a real emotional guy. Those things make me emotional. A nightmare phone call that a parent would never get over the rest of their life, in my opinion. Never get over that. Think about it before you go to sleep. Think about it when you wake up and 2 or 3 times to go to the bathroom. You guys got that? When you get older like me, minimum of 2. You think about it walking to the bathroom. You think about it when you lay back down to go to bed. You think about it before you fall back to sleep if you can. The rest of your life. It's awful. So I don't know. Bad deal. Good? All right, guys. Thanks.